I'm Cinder Page and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I tie-dyed this shirt using this dye here. Right now I am self-isolating, so I'm avoiding going to the stores as much as possible, and a lot of stores are also closed. So I've been challenging myself to craft and work on different projects with the items I already have. So I have this dye that I've used to tie-dye some items quite a while ago, and I believe it's pronounced Rit. I got this at Michael's, I believe. And this is just in black. So what I did is I wanted to tie-dye this shirt because I've had it for a while and haven't worn it, and I love the way it turned out. And I ended up actually tie-dyeing some other items as well. So go ahead and stay tuned, and then I'll show you how I did it. So before you start, you're going to need rubber gloves, the item that you want to color, and then the dye, and make sure to follow the directions. So with this color, I don't know if it's bright or red, but with this color, when I've used it before, you have hot water, the hottest water possible. So I boiled water and I just left it in the pan and put it on a towel that I don't care about. Be very careful if you're doing this, it's going to be hot. The directions give you measurements for dye and salt. You need salt to help activate it depending on what the fabric is, but the measurements are for like large amounts of fabric. So I just kind of winged it and I was like, whatever. And then I just stirred it with a knife and then looked at the knife to see how dark it was. And I was like, oh, that's really dark. That's going to dye nicely. So no exact measurement. I just kind of eyeballed it. But it stirred up really well. You want to make sure the dye, the water, and the salt are stirred up nicely. And then for my shirt, I used a method I've seen online where you kind of scrunch it up in a, I don't know, like you twirl it and kind of like into a ball. And then rubber band it. And the only rubber bands I have are tiny little hair tie ones. I don't have big ones, but again, I'm not going to the store. So I thought, whatever, I'll just make do. And, you know, it did work. It took probably a few more rubber bands, but it worked out. All right, once I got it all rubber banded together, I decided to try it. So I started on each end first. I figured if it was too dark, then having a little darkness on each side would look nice. Be careful when you do this because the water was boiling. It's very hot. You can see it steaming. So what I ended up doing is I saw how dark it was and I thought that might be too dark. So I added some cold water from my sink. I didn't want it to be too dark and then I lose the design on the shirt. So I added in water, and honestly, all my items came out nice, but it wouldn't have been bad if they were darker. So I probably didn't need to do this, but with coloring fabric, if you start lighter, you can always do it again and make it darker if you need to. So then I decided to finish coloring it, and I kind of decided I was going to dip and be really gentle, but I ended up just throwing the whole thing in there. And you'll see in a second, there's a little bit of the original cream color that I didn't dye. And I thought that was okay because I knew not all of it was going to be colored anyway because of the rubber bands. So having a little corner or two not dyed I thought would look nice. So I left it. So I finished that project and realized I had a bunch of dye left. So here's a pile of shirts I collected from around the house to color. So first I decided to do a dip method. I've done this before on different items of my clothing and I like it. So since I already had a shirt that was like tie-dyed and in rubber bands, I decided to do this method. So I start by dipping the bottom of the shirt in, and you just kind of do it delicately with no precision, and you'll see the dye will kind of make its way up the shirt a little bit, and it looks really cool. Again, this is hot when I'm wringing out the dye, so be careful. I wanted to do that so it wouldn't drip everywhere, but I also have hands that aren't that sensitive to heat, so do what's right for you. Then I flipped it over and did the top of the shirt, so like the neck and the arms will be in there. And yeah, it looked really nice, and you can see it's super easy, and the dye just kind of moves its way up the fabric in no particular way, but it looks really cool. So that is the second shirt I colored. So next I took another white t-shirt and I did the rubber band method again. All the white t-shirts are my roommate's, so you know, if I had the dye, I figured I might as well make him shirts too. So I did a shirt for him, same thing with the rubber bands, and I don't know why I did this again where I dipped each side. Maybe I just like it that way. I don't know if it makes a difference. Comment below if you know if it makes a difference, but it works out for me. And here I am with really hot water. My hands are really heat sensitive. I've worked in restaurants and fast food and around hot items a lot in my life, so don't do that if you aren't used to it. And the third white t-shirt, I just decided to dunk the whole thing in there and just make a black shirt. It actually worked out really well. It ended up being like almost kind of dark blue. If I would have had more dye or not have added the additional water in there, it probably would have been blacker, but it still looked cool. And here I am grabbing hot stuff again. It's a normal day in my life, I guess. But I do want to wring out all the dye because even though I don't care if I damage this towel, it's I had to give my hands a break. It was so hot. Even if I don't care about damaging this towel, you don't want to fling dye all over your place. I also had a couple of my items I wanted to color. I have this little gray tank top. I don't wear often, probably because it's light gray. And I wound that up and did the same tie-dye method. It kind of came out a little bit, like you could see in the corner there, but worked out, just dunked her in. And the last item I'm doing is a sweatshirt I had. This was big, so it was hard to get all the rubber bands on it, but I kind of tried anyway. And you can see it's falling out. It was too big for these little bands, but honestly, it still turned out cool in the end. That's part of the thing I love about creating in projects is things don't have to be perfect, and they're really enjoyable if you make them yourself. I wanted to show you me unwrapping a couple of them, taking the rubber bands off so you could just see kind of the experience of the reveal. So I'm going to do that to a couple shirts here. And even though when you have the rubber bands on and you dye it and it looks like all the dye you can see is black, you can see that it still leaves a decent amount of it white and it looks really cool. I think black and white tie-dye is the coolest way to do it because tie-dye can be kind of cheesy sometimes, but black and white makes it more modern. And I love distressed looks, and I feel like that kind of ties in. Here's my little tank top. Turned out super cute, and I'd much rather wear a tank top that has dark and light gray than just light gray. So I was really happy with it, and it was really easy. So the sweatshirt, on the other hand, I'm still happy with it, but it was a really light material, super thin, and it was so big, like so big of a garment, and the rubber bands were so small, it was kind of hard. But I'm still happier with it. I just like dark clothes. But you could see the tie-dye is kind of uneven and got kind of weird. And it was hard because it was the only item with long arms and a hood. But it still looks cool. I still prefer it over what it looked like before. And here they all are. I laid them outside to dry. I put down some trash bags, so I recommend doing this too. I'll link below the website to the dye I use because I think there's like washing instructions afterwards. But yeah, here they are. All right, so I'm so happy with how the shirt turned out. When it was the cream color before, I don't really wear cream or white very often, so it wasn't my style, even though I love the design, so I'm really happy with it. I also just filmed a tutorial on how I got this makeup look using an e.l.f. palette, so that will be out after this video, so make sure to like and subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified when my new videos come out. And comment below on what else you'd like to see me do. I want to make projects that you want to see. And until next time, keep sinning. You guys have to stop growling. I'm filming. Alright, so that was lots of fun. And if you have any other hi loves, I'm Cinder Page and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do an